In the last class, we studied about a new testing framework called TestNG, which is basically a superset of JUnit. Whatever annotations are there in the JUnit, we can always do it in TestNG, but it has its own capabilities, like it is multi-threading. We can do parallel testing. We can have some more annotations like before test and before suite. If there is already, we can create our own suite. We can have nice reports. So there are a lot of things which we can do it in TestNG. So today, in today's class, we will be taking some scenarios in TestNG. Like the most popular scenarios are like, getting table data. So I would be actually going to a couple of different websites for different scenarios. Getting table data, getting the link information, then handling pop-ups, handling weight. So this I think we have already taken in the last class, implicit and explicit weight. Handling iframes. Then we have some other scenarios like we have already taken up drop downs also, handling drop downs. Using select. Then getting page source, writing JavaScript from Webdriver, or I would say executing JavaScript. And a lot of time, there is a certain scenario. You can always Google and you will find some of the blogs related to this. So I would suggest whenever you are working on open source tools, please do a lot of blogging and try to find what are the issues that people are facing. Two main blogs which people generally use are Stack Overflow, and for Webdriver we have code.drive. Google.com. So I will be telling you one of them. See, this is one of the wiki, I would say, and this is for Selenium only. Here you will see in wiki pages, you will see the design pattern. We are using page object pattern, so this is the one, the simple abstraction of the UI. And there are other patterns like domain driver design, loadable, and others. At least you should know. You can go through these wiki and you will get a lot of documentation on all this. Let me see. This is the how you actually need to start with the Webdriver. So you can always go through the startup guide. All these wikis have certain issues which are very recent issues. Because whenever you are using, different bridge applications, there will be different kinds of issues with dealing with the web elements, maybe on some waves, on some browser issues. So yeah, I would also tell you about the Firefox profile. And in the next class, actually, I would also tell you about the Selenium grid. And I have to also tell you about the data-driven testing. So this is a very important thing. So we would be taking some of the scenarios in today's class, and the rest of them we will take up in the next class. Okay. So to begin with, let's start with the table data. So let's say that you have a requirement called like you need to check whether a table is populated with some kind of a data or not. Check table data. So I need one website which has some kind of a dynamic data. And here you will see this table. And here if you see, this table is basically a dynamic table. If I change this amount, this information in this table actually changes. So let's try to automate this process. And here we can actually see a lot of other things like how Ajax element works because this table is dynamic, how to get the information from a table. A lot of times you will see like the tables are dynamic because they are getting data from the backend, and that information might be changed after a couple of minutes or hours, or maybe in a couple of days. So this is a table basically which has certain rows. And in every row there is a column. So the main information might be in certain one fixed column. So here we don't have actually a lot of columns or those things. But anyway, let's see how we can automate this. There is another one. Okay, wow, awesome. This is a nice table, so we can work on this. Thank you, Mamta. Okay, let's try to automate xage.com. So again, I'm starting the new process. I'm creating a new project. Or maybe I can actually use a previous one only. So I'm creating another package, and I'm creating a page class here. We already have in this project Webdriver jar added, so we don't have to add it again. You just have to import the package. And then we need to create a constructor here. So my requirement is something like this. So we have this website. I have to check, maybe the titles or something. Let's see what are these elements. We have the header, and in every header there is an image, and there is a label for that header. Okay, so I want to check for the table headers. The requirement is check table headers and get all these, say, you can say USD and GBP listing. Get all these USD and GBP listing. Okay, so you can actually print into a file or console. So I'll tell you the whole process how to do this. A lot of times what happens, you have to get all the information and you have to match it up with the test data. So either you print it on the screen or you get that listing where to match from the test data file and just do the corresponding checking. So let's try to automate this. So what do we have to do? First, we'll do the algorithm. Go to home page. Then locate the table. Get the header data. So then we have to, return the list of the heading. So this is my first requirement. And the second requirement might be, this could be check table header, heading. And second could be check table data. And sometimes, even in the interviews also, they might ask you to write a small program. So the syntax errors could be there, but at least you should be able to how to, iterate through all the rows of the table. So you can say here we have to go to home page, locate the table. Let's say get all the row entries or column entries. We'll see what we can do. Maybe you want to extract all the USD entries, okay? So we'll automate these two. First thing, we have to go to the home page. So what we'll do, so we'll say driver.get. Copy this and don't forget to write HTTP. Locate the table. So how would you locate it? You can open it in Firefox. I'm pretty much comfortable using Chrome, so you can use the Chrome also. So this is the table with certain parameters. It has an ID also, X-rates BX table. So we can use this X part here. So $X. A table with ID is equal to this thing, and we need to get the heading, right? So this is, there are 3 headings if you see here, and this is one, this one is the third one. Okay, so we have TH. First is a blank one. Second is USD. Okay. First is TH is blank. Second is USD. Okay, fine. So driver, here we'll add the element, say web element, rate table, and here we will say driver dot find element. We can do by.id because we already have the ID. This is the rates table, and let's import this element also. Okay, now we have got the rates table. What happens if the element is not located? This will throw an exception. So whatever it is, if it throws an exception, no such element found. So we can actually put everything, whatever we are writing here, and we can put it in a catch, and we can catch this exception, no such element exception, or .open QA, and we can print the stack trace so that we can find, where in what element the exception was there. And if you want, you can put into a reporter. In test and see what happens. Like you can actually use this API. This is called reporter API, which helps you write your customized messages. And in this reporter.log, you can write here, some element not found in check table heading. Please check stack trace. Right? And this is basically part of the test engine, so we need, it might already be included in here in the imports. So once we get the table, we have to iterate through the how many rows we have. If you notice this table heading is part of this first row, right? So we have to first get the first row. So we would say rates table dot find element by dot xpath. I want in this thing, I want the first row, right? So you can check it out whether it retrieves you the first row /tr1. So if you put it, okay, I think it is not directly, it is in T body. So every table might be written in a different way. If you see this is the one which we are expecting. So it is /T body / and maybe let's try doing this. Okay, so we can copy this. The table we have already located and in the table we are trying to locate the first row. Okay, and in the first row there are so many TH. So I want all the TH, right? So I can write here /TH. Even here, if I put /TH, this is going to give me all headers, right? I want all the headers. So what I'll do here, I'll write here web element rates table heading. And this is not one heading, it is list of elements. So I would create a list of web elements. And here also, instead of one, I would write here RT heading. And instead of web element, I would say web element. need to import this. This is a part of java.util package. Okay. So once we have got this, we need to iterate this. So I would say I have to create an iterator. Iterator IT is equal to, I would say, RT heading dot iterator, and import this. This is again part of java.util, and this is basically we are either iterating the web element. So you can put the web element here. So how to iterate? So while it dot has next web element th is equal to it dot next. This is going to give me the th, first th, or whatever th like I would be getting. So here this is the first tr, this is the th, and this, and here you can get the text. I am more interested in the text of this th, so I would be creating a list here, list of, let's say, string, and I would say heading text, heading string, new array list. So if you see, we always use array list there because we don't know, how many headings are there, right? Again, we need to import this. Okay, so we have got the it.next, and I want the text for this particular element. So what I'll do, I'll say heading string dot add. What I need to add? I need to add that all the elements here, right? So I would say th dot get text. So this is going to add the text value of this particular element. What is the text value? Here it is USD. For this is GBP, right? So all the headings would be added to this particular list, and I can then return the list. So I would say return heading string, and instead of this I would say list of, I'm returning list of string. Now I have to create the check heading. Already created this, right? Okay, I need to put into a try catch. So try catch I've already done. This is end. Sometimes you need to put these kind of comments so that your code is more readable, and always do indenting. Okay. Now let's try to call this. I'm creating another test class. So here actually I can create another package and use that package. New package com dot x-ray dot test, and here I'll add the test class. Test x-ray home page. And this is going to be our test-ng test class. So again, I'll be creating a Webdriver field here. Okay, and you can import this. Right at the rate before method. And here what you will write? Open. And you can open, say driver is equal to new Firefox driver. I would be telling you more about Firefox. Like on one machine, there can be more than one binaries of Firefox also. Like you can run the Firefox. You have Firefox 20. You might have Firefox 21. Firefox 21 is, I think, the latest one. But maybe you can check it out, which is the latest version of Firefox. So sometimes, your test cases does not run on the new version. So your test test script might not run properly. So you have to sync those. So test table head. And I'm writing an after method also. Okay, so what here we have to do? We have to create the page class. Create the object of that page class and pass the driver. And now we have to call that method. HP dot check table heading. Now this is returning me a string and a list of strings, right? So this is list of strings, and I would say actual list heading, right? And there is an expected list also. So let's say I have another thing, string expected list is equal to new you can write this also, or there is an easy way so that you can write in one line only. USD and what else? What all headings are there? GBP, CAD, EUR and AUD, right? So there are 5 of these. GBP, EUR and AUD. Yeah, so you can write here array dot as list, and here you can pass this array. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is string. Okay. So this is your expected list and this is your actual list. Now what you have to assert? You have to assert that your expected list, your actual list heading contains the expected list. So assert dot assert true. What you have to assert? Actual list heading dot contains all expected list. So if you remember our selections methods, we did this thing, right? Expected list contains all. So that means whatever the entries are there in expected list, that should be there in actual list. To run this other test class, so what I'll do, I'll create a test suite. So because I want to exclude, I want to run just this particular test class. One thing I can do is I can right click this, not this one, and I can run the test case. So let's do this right away, or you can create it in a suite and exclude that particular test class. So we have some results over here. So there were two, and actually the test case failed. So we can actually debug where the test case failed. We can also check in the reporter log. So you can refresh this, and here you will see the output. Let me just reset this perspective. It is actually unable to locate the element rate table. And if you notice this, this particular table appears after some time. It takes a while to load. So you can actually give a thread.sleep. And if you're not able to locate, then we will change it, change the selector. So it's the rate table here. Let me check this again. Okay, sorry, but this is X rates VX. I think I gave the wrong locator. Save it again and then run it again. Again, I think there is some error. You can check the console. Okay, expected true but found false. So there are some assertion failures here. So see here, what kind of failures do we have? Our script ran nicely, but there were some assertion failures. So if you want, like, we can actually print the list which we are getting, the actual list and the other list. So we can do this. This out, actual list heading. And let's run this again. So see here where how I'm debugging my application. I'm always trying to put some sysout statements. You can put it into reporter.log also. So reporter.log, if you see, you will find that those results in the HTML report. So this is my console. Okay, it's not actually retrieving anything from the table. So let's go back to the table. And here it's not retrieving. So we'll see whether our headings is finding anything or not. So first what we'll do, we'll print the list size. One thing I have to tell you, find elements. Let's say if it doesn't find the element here, not even a single element, it doesn't throw the exception. Only our headings throws like will be null. So you can actually print the rate table dot our headings dot size r t h headings dot size. So I'm just trying to retrieve how many elements has it retrieved or not, and there could be an issue here also. So we'll figure it out. If this is 0, that means it is not able to retrieve our headings. Then what we'll do, we'll change the ID. Okay. So let's run this again. List size is 0. That means it is not able to locate the heading. So what we'll do, we'll change the X path. So instead of this, what I'll do, our headings is X path table @ID is equal to Control C. Just try to find whether this is working. Yes, this is working. It is getting me all the table headings. And if you want, I want to give a small wait here. So I'll do thread.sleep for 2 seconds so that the page is loaded. Now it is throwing null pointer exception, and you can always check where it is throwing null pointer exception. Okay, so it's not able to locate it or what? Yeah. Hmm. Let me put a longer sleeve. It's not able to locate this X path. Then we will try to use CSS selector today. The X path is working fine here. So a lot of times, it happens. So let's try to do this again. Most of the times this is related to your page weight, like the element is not visible. Okay, yeah, I got it. Thank you, Ira. This has to be driver. You are a good QA, Ira. Thank you. It has to be driver.find elements because right now we are finding the X path from the anywhere in the element. So let's run this again. Okay, now we have got it. If you see the console, my test case has passed. So the list size is 6. It actually included the null value also, but we are more concerned on these 5. So this was my expected list. This was my actual list, and my test case has passed. So the next scenario, like how to extract the number of rows and the data from the rows or columns, right? So if you see how this table works, this table has a lot of rows, right? Every row has certain columns, and your actual data starts with the second column, sorry, second row. In the second row also there is one header, and in then we have certain columns with some values. Let's say the next assertion is we have to get the table data. So either you can browse through rows, getting all the column values, or this is the only option because we have tr, so we will read each row, get all the column values and add them to the list. So let's say I want to assert for USD values. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll follow the same steps. So my steps until this thing would be just the same, and instead of TH, we'll change the X path anyway. So let's see which X path we need now. And it starts from the second row, so I'll use second row TD. If you see this is giving me the second column values, all the column values, right? So I would say second row TD. When I write second row TD, it will just give me one row, but I have to iterate it with all the rows, right? So I have to first find how many rows are there. How would I find how many rows are there? I have to get the X path of this. Driver dot find elements by dot X path. This will give me how many rows are there. So I would say int number of rows is equal to find dot elements, whatever this is, we can put it into, a list first. Let's say rows, list of web elements, and these would be rows, and int number of rows is equal to rows dot size. So this will give me the size. Now I have to iterate from the first, not from the first row, I have to iterate from the second row. Okay, so I'll put a for loop here. For int I is equal to 1, I is less than number of rows. So this should be n small. I plus plus. And here, if you see here, I don't have to write 2, I have to write I. So what I'll do, I'll just add it like this. I so that I would get all the headings in one go. And then I have to create the list where I would be getting the all the USD data. So list of string, new array list. So now you realize like how much collections are important, because we would be using collections all the time in our code. First, find the elements of, and this wouldn't be heading, this would be, let's create another list element. And these would be our rows. And this is going to get all the data, and instead of TS, I'm writing here TD. Right? So this was TR, TD. Now if you see this, this is the, this will give me the list of the columns. And these are not the rows actually, this is columns. So what I am doing, first I have got the row. This is the list element. This is I have retrieved just to find out how many rows are there. Then what I'm doing, I'm finding the number of size, and we have to start from the second row, so it has to be 2, and it is has to be less than equal to number of rows, and I plus plus, and we have to find the table with this particular TR, and this is one column. Now what we have to do, these will give me all the columns. I want to extract the information of just the one into USD data, right? So this is the data we need. This is USD data list. So this is, and this is our first column. So what I'll do here, here inside this I have to write an iterator. Iterator IT is equal to because this is a list. And this will give me all the column values. And while, and either if you want all the list, then you can use an iterator. If you want just one column, then you can simply get, get 0. So let's try to do with more than one list, not only USD data. Let's say I want Canada data also. Just to give you an example. So I'm extracting US data also and Canada data also. So while IT dot has next, and you can write your web element if you want. Okay. First, we say IT dot next. We can iterate through all the items. If we iterate through all the items, it will give me all the columns. But I need just 2. So let's. I don't want all of them. I just need 2, right? So what I'll do, I'll say R columns dot get. The first one is for USD, and the second one is for Canada. And let me check. The second is Canada. First, second, third. Third column is Canada. So I'll write here column dot get 2. So this is for US data, and this is for Canada data. But actually, in that list, what we have to actually extract the text for this. So what I'll do, I'll say USD data dot add USD dot get text. USD dot get text, because I want to add the data value, text value here. Similarly, CAD data dot add CAD dot get text. So I'm getting the US data and I'm adding the, so with first iteration what will happen, it will get the first row, right? So here TR would be 2 and it will get all the TDs. So if you want all the information of the TDs, you can simply use an iterator and then extract the information and put it into the list. But here I don't want all the columns, I just want first and third column. That is the reason we are doing this. Okay. And then we have to return. Okay, now one more thing is, here we have to return 2 lists. One, not in the previous section, we were returning just 1 list, right? Here I am returning 2 lists. How can I return 2 lists? I'll create a math with first entry is a string and the second entry is a list of strings. So let me just import this, and I'll create here math string. The same thing which I have mentioned there, list of strings is equal to new hash math and here key is basically a string and value is a list of string. And say data. Okay, and what will I do here? I would say math dot what is the name I have given? Data. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll say data dot put. The key I would write here as a string, so I'll say USD and the value would be USD data. And similarly, I would say data dot put key is CAD and the value is CAD data. And this is end try. I think there is still some syntax error, so let me see. Okay, let me first explain it again. What are we trying to do? We are trying to extract the values of this column and this column, okay, so that we can compare. So this is generally what happens when you have to, you have to match the actual with the expected in a table. So most of the times it will be some dynamic value, probably it is a real time just like this, or it is fetching the data from the database. So whatever it is, you will have certain expected values and you have to get the actual values. So since there are two lists, so I'm creating two lists here. First list to get the US data and second list to get the CAD data, right? Then what I did, I need to know how many rows are there in the column. So because these numbers of rows might vary, right? These number of rows might vary. So I don't know how many rows are there. Generally, columns are not variable. Only the number of rows are variable. So first, what I have to do, I am creating, I'm getting the number of rows by using this XPath TR. So it will tell you how many rows are there. The first row is used as a T header. So I'm not using the first row. If you want, you can print the in reporter, you can print reporter.log number of rows in the table is equal to so I'm just writing here what are the number of rows. And then since first is a header row, so I'm starting from the second. And I'm now after this, I'm getting the XPath for the TD. So this is going to give me all the column values for the first row. And it starts from 2. And once I get all the column values, since again this is a list, I have to get the first column value and the third column value. So that is the reason I have given 0 and 2. So this is going to give me the US data value and this is going to give me the column data. I don't want the web elements, I want the text to be added into these lists. So this list would be contain all the text values. So I'm adding it to the to list. Now since we have two lists that needs to be returned to our page table, so what I'm doing here, I am putting them into a hash map. So the first entry for the hash map would be a string and the value is this list, and the second is cat and value is this list. So let me check where is the error here. So we have two try catch. This is end of for. This is the outer catch. And then I have to return data. Again we are having okay. Now I have to call this method. Public void test table say data and create the page and then the list. Here now I'm returning the map, right? So my return type would be a map. String list of string, and this would be actual HP dot check table data, import this, and here you will write the code to get the expected data. So it's a long table, so I'm not writing the expected data because I have to write the whole column values. And then you will do the assertion. So what you will do, first you will get the data, and if you want I can actually print this. Now let's run this. If you see this, I'm not doing here a lot of action. So a lot of time happens like you have to just extract, and you can see the console. Let's see. If you see this, it has extracted all the information of from USD also, and for Canada also. So you can verify it from this. Yes, this is 1.5 and all these. This is 1.0578. Yeah. So this is for Canada. So this is how you can actually do the verifications on the table. Are we good here? Then there is another important API called Action API. I would be telling more about this. For example, let's say you want to click somewhere, in the mid of the link. Let's say here we don't have, sometimes what happens when you mouse over, that links come up. Can you give me an example of that? Okay, so let's say you want to click on middle of this particular element. You can actually click on any, middle of any element using Action API. You can click, you can double click. So let's try to create one scenario regarding this. Click in the middle. So it actually helps in mouse hovering, like sometimes, when you hover on a particular link, then that drop down appears, right? So you have to move your cursor to middle of that element. For that, you can use Action API. Let me see if we have anything on this page. When I'm mouse hovering, this link is color is changing. Let me see if there is something else also. Sometimes there is a pop-up. See here, I'm clicking on organization, then these links are appearing. So these links will only appear if I mouse over. So I have to move this element to the center of this mouse, center of this element. So what for this I will use Action API. So I will use this UCOP example. Move to center. Using UCOP example. So I'm writing here driver dot get, and what is the name of the website? And I have to first search for this element. Let's say I want to mouse over here. So first inspect this element. This is a link with HRS is equal to organization. So I can directly use this. So this is a web element. Org link. is equal to driver dot find element by dot xpath. This is the link. This means a with @href is equal to. You can copy this from here. Sorry. This is slash organization, so I can write here organization. I just hope I don't misspell it. And it's better if you, just put this into contains instead of directly doing it. Okay. So by XPath, it contains organization, and this is your org link. Now we have to move my mouse inside this. And you need to import it from the Selenium interaction. Driver dot I forgot, just a second, give me a second. You can always go and see how this works. So go to your index where you will get all the Selenium references, easy action. Okay, it says action actually. And new action, and here you will pass the driver, and then you would say my action dot. Here if you see there are so many actions, you can click and hold, you can drag and drop, right? So many things you can do. Sometimes you have to drag an element and drop on somewhere, like in your Google Drive you have to do a lot of time these things. You can put the keys down, you can move to elements. So I have to move to this element, move to element, and here I would say org link. This will move me to the center of that element. And here build dot perform. So this will complete your action. And once it is in the center, you have to, let's say, click on finance office. Okay, so here the link is finance office. So we'll say web element finance of this link is equal to driver dot find element the link with some text, right? So again, I would say use contain @text, comma, finance office. Okay. And then when you get that link, you want to click on this. Dot click. Right? And once we click on this finance office, it takes me to certain page, and maybe you want to check for this header. Since now it is navigating to another page, you can give a thread.sleep. 2 seconds should be good. Or you can put an explicit wait. And then you can find the web element header is equal to driver dot find element by dot path its header value which contains text okay. And just to make sure that this actually, if it's not available, then it should throw some error. Which exception it throws when the element is not present? No such element exception. And you can say here, and you can put it in reporter log, reporter.log. You can say headers not locatable. Okay, and then you can say return. If this is the case, then you can say here return null. Otherwise, you can write here header. And you are returning a web element. Okay. And then we can say header is equal to this. Okay. What are we doing here? We are going to that page and we are moving to the center of that element. And to complete the action, we have to say or link whatever move to the center of the element and build.perform and get that link, then thread.sleep because it is navigating to the other page, and then we are reading that header. Okay, so let's call this in our test method. So I'm creating another test, and I don't want to run this these two tests, so I would say enabled is equal to false. And here also I can say enabled is equal to false. @test and the public void test UCOP. Okay, so we are initializing the driver and we will be calling that method hp dot move to center, and it is returning me a web element, say heading, and this is the actual heading. And what we can do, yeah, so we can get the text of this heading. Here we can actually return the text. We don't have to return the whole thing. So let's return the text only. So public string and return header dot get text. So we can directly just assert on the text value. This is the actual, and we have to assert true actual heading dot contain. So this is the heading I'm expecting. Right? So let's save this and run this. So some method failed. So let me just run this again. Going there. Okay, it's not able to locate that organization. So let's see the console. What is the exception? What element it is not able to find? It's unable to. Okay, there is an error with this. Yeah, we don't have that comma here. So there is an error in the locator. To see the error, there is an error in the locator means this X path is not correct. So we have to check for this X path. Let me just find whether this was the one, I think, for the organization. So it's always a better practice to check for the X path. Yeah, there is an error in this expression. Okay. Yeah, there was, this expression has small errors. Run this again. And I have to include soft assertions also. I'll tell you what are soft assertions. Going to use COP. It's mouse hovering and it is giving, but there is some error somewhere, like I think that was too fast. Yes, because that table is taking a while to appear, right? So when you mouse over, you have to give a small break. So this is, we are doing fine, and here we have to give a small break. Okay, again see the error. What is the error? Unable to locate the selector finance office. First, let us check whether this is available or not. Like, we need to check it. It might be another frame or something. So copy this and go here. This is not able to locate it, so we can actually see why it's not locating. It should be the same page. So let's try with some other expa. Let's say at the rate href is equal to finance office. Yeah, this one there it's able to locate, so we can use this one. I hope you are able to understand the XPath and locating the elements. Now run this again. Now this time it has passed. So the heading, everything is whatever we expected. Okay. So these are your test results. Fine. Topic I am taking is a very important topic. First thing I am taking about soft assertions. So do you know what are soft assertions? So this we have done. This we have done. Actions we have done. Pop-ups I'll do. Handling iframes I will be doing. This we have done. This we'll do. Great data driven and soft assertions. So soft assertions, what does that soft assertions mean? What are assertions mean? Assertion means if you assert something, if that assertion fails, your test case fails. So in JUnit or testing, we always have hard assertions. That means if the assertion fails, let's say I'm asserting this. After this, if I write here anything, if I assert something else or do something else, that line will not be executed because your test case will stop here. What happens when assert through this fails, then it throws an exception. That exception is assertion failure exception. When it has an exception, then it definitely does not go to the next line. So let's assume that on one page you are doing more than one assertion. Take this example only. In this UCOP, you are going to finance office, and on this page, you are doing first assertion on this thing. You are doing second assertion that let's say this link. No, I don't want a link. Let's say this image is there. Okay. Or maybe you can say you want to test for the title or test for the image, whatever you feel like. Let's say I want to test for this image. I want to make sure that this image is present there. Okay, so I have to create a method here. Public, say I want to get the string of the alt text I want to get. Get image alt. This is also a UCOP test. So again, I'll go to driver dot. I'm doing the same steps here, and just like after this, I would say driver dot find element. Find me an image whose alt is equal to this. So you can say Boolean by dot XPath. Right? And say this is a web element image. So I'm giving you different ways of doing assertion, and we have to put it into try catch. and create a Boolean return type. Boolean return. Initially it is false. Put it into a try catch, because if this is not there, it will throw exception. Which exception it throws? No such element found, right? No such element exception. And we have to catch this. If it comes here, then return is equal to false. If it does not, that means return is equal to true. And return RET. And this method, I'm not going to test in a separate test method. I'm going to test it here only. So after calling HP move to center, I would say HP dot get image alt, and I would return this value as Boolean, say img present. And I want to assert dot assert true. Okay, so here there are two assertions. So let me save this. So it is going to move to the center, clicking on this chief financial page, going to the next page and check for this image as well. So it is doing two assertions at the same time in the same scenario. So if you remember my previous classes, you don't have, for small assertions or small test cases, you do not have to run the test case right from the beginning again. You can, in the same scenario, you can do n number of assertions, because it will reduce your testing time. If you do for this small assertion, do the whole thing again, it's going to take a lot of time. So you will be doing a lot of assertion in the same test method, because the actions for doing this are just the same. So it saves a lot of your time. Okay, so let's do this. Let's run this test again. So it is going there. I am not sure, just clicking on that finance. Okay. Okay, it is still showing me pass. That means it has located that element. So let me see the console again. It has passed, so both of my assertions have passed. Let's try to fail one of the assertions. So I'm making actual heading contains, say, offices. Instead of office, I'm making an offices, and then run this test again. What I'm trying to say that even if my first assertion fails, I want to continue with my test. That is called soft assertion. I want to verify, right? I don't want to stop my test then and there only. It's going to finance office. Now if you see this, my assertion failed. But when my assertion failed, it did not actually, my first assertion failed. Did it call this? No, it did not call this. So my test stopped after this particular line. But I want to continue with this step. So because I don't want this to be a hard assertion, I want this to be a soft assertion. So to do this, there is another way around, which we call soft assertion. You have to actually write the code to perform the soft assertion. So what I'll do here, so let me change this to this. So when an assertion fails, what exception it actually throws? Assertion error. I have to catch that error, and then I would, I have to catch that error, and then probably I have to go ahead. So I can do like this, try, say catch, assertion error, and you have to use the test ng. Assertion error. Just make sure that no other package is imported. And here in this assertion error, you can actually put into the log what actually happened. So you can say in the log, or you can put it on your system dot out.println. Heading not found. Okay. So this way, even if this fails, still your program is going to continue. To make sure that this program is continuing, next assertion. Okay. So now let's run this again. Okay. So here if you see, the test case has passed, right? So if you see here, your next assertion has passed. But what you have to do, you have to fail the test. You can see in your reporter output. I'll show you the reporter output also. Refresh this. And open your index.html in the browser. You can see the reporter output. If you see this, the heading not found. But my test case passed. I don't want to pass the test. I want to still fail the test. So you can say like let's say you can write here string verification errors, and you can write here say right, and then in the end you can check after once you are done with everything. There probably can be more assertions, so you can check like this. verification error. If like this contains something, then fail the test. And if you can fail the test with this message also. Fail the test with this message. In test entry, we don't have fail. I think we do have fail. Let me just check. Yeah, we do have fail. Okay, it has to be a third dot fail. And you can pass, if you want, you can pass this message also. So in your test report, this message would be found. So you can, I'm putting the message like here I'm putting 3 times, but in real time, like you probably will be putting in one way only. Like you can put it in the your reporter, and here you can put in your messages. And sometimes you would be using some kind of a log file also. There also you can put the message. So let's run this again. Remember, I still want to fail the test but I want to run the test till the end. So in real time, in one scenario, probably you will be doing 4 or 5 assertions as well. So see here, my test failed, and you can check the log why it failed. If you see there, it failed with the heading which we gave, heading not found, right? Assertion failed, but still my test case ran, and the second thing was also executed. See here, next assertion. That means next assertion was all executed, and this assertion passed. This assertion passed, but this one failed, right? So what we are doing here, we are doing soft assertions. We are not stopping the test at the first assertion. We are just verifying whether this heading is there or not, and we are moving on to the next step, right? So there might be multiple assertions in the same scenario, and this is how you. Next thing I want to do is the data-driven testing using TestNG. This is again a very important thing, and a lot of interview questions are based on how to do data-driven testing in TestNG. So let us find some good website like where you have a form kind of thing, and you have to fill that form. Here we have this one entry. Can we have a form with more than one input box? Let's say who is a good example maybe. We were going down examples, and we can click here view forms in action. say test1@test.com. Okay, we can do this one. Do we have anything with more? Okay, we can do this as well. We can create a separate class, new class. And what is the name of this page? Template form. Say template. And again, I'm writing Webdriver. So let me just copy paste this. You can directly go to that particular page, and this is template. Public void, say fill form, and driver dot get control C. Okay, so here let's fill couple of things. Say item. I want this to be filled. Say I'm using ID field 106. Okay, so go back. A driver dot find element I dot ID dot send keys, and here whatever you are sending the keys, I'm passing it that the parameter. Say first is item. So here I'm passing the item. Now second thing is description. This is our field 107. Okay, and here I'm passing string description. And if you want, we can pick something from the drop down also. This is field 1, and we can give text the option value we will be passing. So this would be driver dot find element by dot extra find me select, and select as ID field 1. And in this select, I want option at the rate the value is equal to, I want to pass this option value here, say string opt val, and here what I'll say, plus opt val plus okay, and then we have to click on submit, and it is taking me to some page or something, right? So I want to do this for certain n number of entries, okay? So I just want to click on submit. So driver dot find the element, and can find the element for this. But here's actually I'm doing this but with different values. It's actually landing me to the same thing. I think we should have gone for mortgage calculator, because for every value there's a different because we have to assert on different outputs also, right? Okay, let me continue with this, and maybe we can use that example later on. So this is the submit button. ID is save form. Buy.id dot click. Okay. Here I'm doing just actions. I'm not asserting anything. Although with with every set of values, sometimes you have to assert different things, and the answers would vary. But here, let's call this method, and I'm using test home page. And there is test template. Template page is equal to shift template. And dot fill form. And if you see here, I have to pass 3 values here. So what I'll say, I'll do string item, string description, and string opt val. Okay. And where to get these 3 values? I have to give different values to this. So what I'll do, I'll create another class. So let's create it in the page only. Data provider class I'll create. I'll name it as my data provider. So you can create data provider class for every page also. It depends on which scenario you want to automate. And here what you will do, you will create a static method, and you can say template data, and you can create and here before going ahead you have to put the annotation data provider. It is part of test entry, so copy this, import or dot test entry dot annotation, right? And then you will pass the values. So let's say I want to run this with the 3 different values. So first item is, let's say, book, description, say IT books, and the option value is low, the priority, right? So second is CD, then description, installation, CD, and the priority, let's say here how many different types of priorities do we have? Low, medium, and high. You can give, I'm just trying to give different values, and you can say Bluetooth, say phone, Bluetooth, and this is also low. So I'm passing 3 types, 3 different sets, and I need to give certain name also. So let's say name is equal to template data or something. You can give anything you want, and there are 3 parameters that needs to be passed. So these 3 parameters are string. You can pass integers also. You can pass any object. If you see here, the return type is an object, 2-dimensional object. So you can pass any object here. Here I am passing string. And in your page class, you have to say that at the rate, this is not in the page class, in your test class. This is your test class. Here you would say data oh, this is JUnit. I need to convert into test entry. So let me change this to test entry. So if you see here, data provider is equal to, what was the name of that data provider? Template data. Okay. So go here and type your data provider is equal to template data, and the information about this is into a data provider class. And the class name is my data provider dot class. Okay. So what are the steps that we have done? First, this is the test class that we created. To after method. So what we did, we for the 3 items that we want to do data-driven testing on, we passed them as the parameters, and then we created a data provider class and passed these 3 parameters from there. So this will be, we gave this a particular name, and the same name we used here in the @test annotation. So these are passed as the parameters. So let's run this, and maybe we can say enabled is equal to false. This is Internet Explorer, so it is going to take some time. Not the typing in there. So probably there for all the 3, if you see there are 3 browsers opening, but it is not typing in there. So there is some error in getting those. So we can see what is the error. No such element ID is equal to field 6. Okay, okay. Field 106. So we can use some other. Let's use XPath only. Say by XPath, and here I will say find an input with @ID is equal to, and if you want you can check this. So you must have understood by now. Okay, it's not coming. That the main problem is to locate the element. Okay, if you see this is another into another iframe, so I have to switch to that iframe and then locate it. So this is actually a very good example. Let's switch on to this, and we need to cover this scenario as well. Okay, so let's do this iframe thing first. I want to find an iframe So this is only one iframe, so I need to switch to this before going ahead and locating this. So what I'll do here, I would say web element iframe is equal to driver dot find element by dot expand / iframe. So this is gonna give me the iframe element. Then what I have to do, I would say driver dot switch to dot see. Here you can switch to two things. You can switch to an alert box, switch to a frame, or you can switch to a window. So there can be three pop-ups. So it can be alert box, frame, or it could be a pop-up window. So we'll try to actually do some of these. Let's say I want to switch to this frame and I want to pass this web element here. Once I'm switched to this, then I should be able to send the keys on this particular element. And it is closed, so I don't have to actually switch back. Otherwise, you can switch back also. I'll tell you how to find different window handles when there is a different pop-up coming up. So we'll handle that as well. So let's run this again. It's typing just B. Okay, it's really taking a lot of time to type. You should have used some other browser. This is the reason most of the people don't do automation on IE. Now let's stop this and do this in Firefox. It is still running. I need to stop all of them. Okay. Okay, I'm running it again. Okay, so if you see this is faster. First iteration done. This is the second iteration, item installation. I think the third thing it is not selecting, but that is not the point anyway. We'll see into it. This is your third iteration. So all the test cases passed, and this is your first iteration, second iteration, and the third iteration. Another thing to be noticed is sometimes you need to do all these three things. But you would say we can do it in JUnit. So what's so special about TestNG? The good thing about TestNG is I can make all these three iterations run in parallel. So I can say parallel is equal to true. Sorry. And save this. And now let's run this again. So this is the one. And the meanwhile, second should also start. It should do it in parallel. See here, you can say parallel is equal to true. Actually, if you want to run, like we need to create a testng.xml to do this thing, this parallel thing, because there you can put the thread count. Otherwise, it will not work. So apart from this, like instead of running it like this, you need to put it into an just like we did an XML, right? Did we create an XML from this? So we can copy this XML from here. And paste it here. We need to just change this XML. Let me copy the test class which we are testing. So this is your test Drupal homepage. And so you should copy the qualified name from here. Say copy qualified name. And paste it here. Yeah, see here and then say data provider thread count. And save it. And run this as a suite. For some reason, still not doing multi-threading. Like it should run it in parallel. I'm not sure why it's not running in parallel, but this is the way actually you do it. Let me just check it again. Yeah, it should actually open the browser all at the same time. It does it a lot of time. I have done it a lot of times before. So anyways, check it on your machine. Try it with some other browser. It will work, but it should open it in the same time. So you are doing it multi-threading. You can run the test parallelly in TestNG, which is not possible. Earlier, like in JUnit. In JUnit, only one process runs all the tests. Here, different processes can use the different tests so that tests can run really faster. So this is an advantage of over TestNG. And second thing is here. Let's say there is another method which needs some things to be data driven. Then you can add another test class. So what I'm saying, let's say you can add another template data one. So two methods in two data providers, different data providers in two different test methods can be used. So this is again a thing which cannot be done in JUnit. So TestNG has lots of other advantages. Okay, over JUnit. So I think we are done with today's class. The data in our classes only, but most of the times you'll be reading the data either from an Excel sheet or from a let's say CSV file. So for that case, you have to read the data. So let's say here I have given 3 examples. This is for mortgage calculator only. Here I am hard coding it. Here I am reading it from the CSV file. So your CSV file will have separate comma values with different rows. So what you have to do, you have to use a buffered reader to read the file and read each line and put it into a list of strings.
Oh, okay.
And yes, and then you have to create an object two-dimensional array and pass all the rows into that string and that array. Okay. And then pass this data object into return this particular two-dimensional array.
Okay.
Similarly, when you are reading from an Excel, then you have to import Apache POI.jar file, because in java.lang directly you do not have any facility to read an Excel. So there is a jar file called Apache POI file. Apache POI jar. So you can download this. I have already downloaded this file into my Eclipse drop-ins. Then you have to, add this into your project. So if you see my reference libraries, you have this POI jar, right?
Okay.
So this POI jar can be used to read the data from all the Microsoft documents like Excel, Word, those kinds of things. So this is actually a little complicated, you can say example, but anyway you will find it anywhere on the internet. So what you have to do, you have to read the file. This is the file name. Then this is the object that you have to create. This is the workbook object you have to create, and this is the sheet number, because Excel sheet has lots of sheet numbers, right? 0, first, second, third. So get sheet at 0 means that means the first one.
Yeah.
Then you have to get the how many number of rows are there in that sheet, right?
Yeah.
Once you get the number of rows, and the columns have to be fixed, right? The columns generally are always fixed. They do not keep on going. So here I am reading a sheet with the 4 columns. Okay, and then I have to use an iterator on that sheet, or a row iterator, which will read the each row. And with each row, I have to iterate inside again with the cells because I have to read the whole row.
Yeah.
Okay. So then again, I'm creating an object array.
Okay.
And I'm iterating through the each cell, and I'm adding the values of that cell to this particular array, object array.
Okay.
And then once I'm done with adding all the rows, like all the columns of one row, then I'm adding it to the data object. Okay, and I'm returning the data. So this is how you can actually read from the Excel sheet. This code is already uploaded on the website.
Okay.
So you can
I
go
will
through
see.
it. This is mortgage calculator CR.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's already there on the website. You can go through this. Otherwise, you can Google and find it out. Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So this is from like when you are trying to input any data into the form. I mean, like just I'm trying to relate it to the project. Like
yes. So here I'm hard coding it, right? So instead of hard coding it, if you want to read the data from an Excel sheet.
Okay. And how about when it goes into the actually backend? How we will do that testing, Shilpi?
How do we connect with the JDBC and get the data? That's what you are saying?
Yeah, I mean like yeah, when they will so like this suppose like my project has a something submit form like this, and then okay, while providing the data I am accessing from Excel sheet or from the CSV file, but then when it actually gets submitted, how do I verify that I have to tell using JDBC connection only?
No, why should I use verify it? See, go to mortgage calculator. .org, right? So we did data-driven testing for this form only, right? We gave the values, and we have to check for the values, like for this combination, the monthly payment is this, right?
Yeah.
It is appearing on the screen only. Sometimes it happens, it is not appearing on the screen. Let's say you want to assert here. So for this set of values, I have to assert this thing. So this is the same thing that we did in J unit, right? If you see here.
Yeah, so what if it is not on the screen?
My last value is the expected value only.
Right. No, I am
combination, we have this value. If the input data is coming in Excel, the expected is also will also be coming from the Excel only. Right?
Okay.
If the input
how do you verify your I mean like the like from a project like on the website, if it is not on visible on the suppose like if it is getting updated in the back end, like then how
let's say your table is updated every time.
Yeah.
So what you will do, like here in your test, whatever is your test where you have done, you will write another method here to connect to JDBC, and you will fire a query, select query with where item description and opt value. If that select query returns a result set, that means it is your job is done, like it is passed.
Right.
Are you getting it? Otherwise,
yeah. So here usually when we are trying to validate at the back end, we will mostly be using select statements. No, I mean like most of the time. So I mean if they, because sometimes in like in the call what I'm getting calls, they are asking for strong SQL experience, and then I was like wondering like how I will relate it to my project, because like in my project most of the time I have to say like okay, I try to validate whatever.
No, it's not necessary that generally test data is put into this Excel sheet. In only some cases in real-time applications you connect to the database, because when you connect to the database, your test becomes very slow. So what you generally extract it from the database, like using some SQL developer. SQL developer, you will write some SQL queries and extract it into Excel sheet, and then use those Excel sheet in your script. Now, second thing is strong SQL experience. For doing everything, it's not necessary that you have to verify that even like we have SQL black box testing, SQL white box testing, both things. SQL black box testing means that what you are doing, the developers are also writing some SQL queries, right, to extract state information. The information is dynamic. So you already have the queries. You are just running those queries in the SQL developer and verifying the result.
Okay.
Okay.
So I mean, like, I can tell I used all like joins, everything. I mean, like.
Yes. To extract the test, the main job, like, is to extract the data from the table, right? So to extract the data from the table into Excel sheet, you need to run the SQL queries. You have to extract, let's say, here you have item description and opt value. Let's assume opt value comes from another table. So you have to create a join, extract that information, and then create it into an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. 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 Okay.